So yeah, we're gonna try to continue this for as long as possible. I'm gonna try to beat the game, and I will do the optional areas and bosses after I beat the main line of bosses. So yeah. The enemies here are fairly easy to kill. The only thing that I'm really afraid of is dogs. Ever since Bloodborne, I don't like dogs. If you've been to the Chalice dungeons and found the ones that breathe fire, you'd know. And those guys, if you let them live, I don't think it was that one, but there's one later. These big enemies, they have wide swings that leave them wide open and very easy to backstab, so. I'm going to ignore the archer with the crossbow and go straight for this guy because he turns into just complete and utter death. That's a good word for it. I might use that bow later for something. Go down here to kill the enemies for extra souls. The fact that I didn't time that dodge right. That door is locked, but we'll come back later for it. Well, technically we'll come back later for it. And now we go the other way because this way, once you come to the high wall, is a dead end. This way is not a dead end. Ugh. That guy just basically makes every enemy that can attack you in the area come running for you. Ugh, the sound. I can't stand the sound that it makes when you walk on a dead dragon. It reminds me of the sound that it makes in Bloodborne when you step on a dead horse in the beginning of the area. Like the first area is like, they are so crunchy for some reason. The sad thing is I played through this area as a sorcerer the first time I beat the game. And those enemies actually did a decent amount of my HP, but when you play through with a strength build, they do little to no damage. I'm gonna use that letter for a boss. Speaking of boss, I don't actually get through all the high wall in this episode. I get through most of it. I just don't get to the boss and like the couple of enemies right before that. But everywhere else I get to. Up here is an item I want to use because it's usually the first item I get on the strength build. Good thing the dragon doesn't do much damage. Now I have the claymore, I have a better weapon to use other than the... I think this is the long sword that the knight starts out with. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the long sword. I kicked that guy and rode away due to the fact that I thought the dragon was going to, not dragon, Drake was going to breathe fire. If you get underneath him, it won't hit you, and you can just go open up his door. There's something spooky about that chest you're about to see. And it's the first one that you encounter. It's a mimic. Here's a quick little tip. Look at the chain before you open up a chest. If the chain is in a circle, it's a normal chest. But if the chain is not in a circle, it's a mimic. And if you open it, it will eat you. And you will die. Most of the time. And there's also an attack that the mimic does. That attack that will also grab you, and he will proceed to eat you if you get caught by it. And he's spamming it over and over, which is why I'm being very, very picky when to attack. And he's dead. I never really found much use for the deep battle axe. The claymore does more damage. Now the claymore doesn't I don't have the stats to use the claymore. I think I'm 1 strength off. But if you're off in strength with a weapon, you can just two-hand it because it gives you 1.5 of your current strength stat when two-handing a weapon. So if you're just a little bit short from being able to wield a weapon, just two-hand it. This doesn't work with dexterity, faith, and intelligence, though. These Wallaudric knights really hurt when you don't have any armor. Like when you start out as basically anything other than a knight. But they can be stun locked to the claymore, and they don't do that much damage with the knight armor equipped. So now I'm currently out of Estus flask. So yeah, I think I sit there contemplating my decisions on what to do. My decision, I do believe, was to go up to the bonfire, then go back to Firelink. Level up and see if I can reinforce the claymore, which I can't. No. Okay. Yeah, good thing I decided not to run off and leave that. What am I doing? I'm actually wondering this now. Oh. I go back around and try to kill the enemies here. And then decide after killing one that it's not worth it. And the only reason I do this is for extra souls to even begin with, so they don't even give that much. So yeah. And any items I miss, I'll go back around and get when I'm not recording. And same thing with farming. I'm not going to record me farming for items that I might want. Something I will not do, though, is will farm for souls. I will not farm for souls. Because I don't feel like getting over-leveled, and I don't feel like over-leveling yourself is a good thing in a Souls game. Granted, I did in Bloodborne once, but because I really had nothing else to do, and I just did nothing but chalice dungeons all day, and I had already bought the maximum amount of items I could have, so I just started pouring the souls into levels, and then the DLC came out, and yeah. I didn't feel like making a new character and go back around through it, so I just did it with a level 206 character. Well, it wasn't 206 when I started the DLC, it was 206 by the time I ended it. So, yeah. And, well, I don't think I'll get past level 80 on this playthrough. I don't plan on getting past level 80, though. I might go like level 85 or something if I need that extra stat for something. But I refuse to overlevel myself. I honestly don't remember what I was doing going through my inventory for. I don't remember what I was looking for. Yeah. I think the only reason I was going through is because it had actually been a while since I've been on this character and since I last recorded. So I was just checking to see what I had. So yeah. We're gonna go back and then we're gonna go the way that I did not go. I don't remember which way. Yeah, I know which way I went, yeah. High Wallaudric is for new players is not that fun. I didn't have a fun time going through this when I played the sorcerer because the Wallaudric knights and even some of the more basic enemies did a lot of damage, and you didn't really do that much damage as a sorcerer considering you start off with more FP than other characters, but it still wasn't enough to carry you through the area and then have enough for like a boss or something. And you didn't do enough damage with the physical weapon that was given to you at the beginning of it unless you invested extra points into using another weapon. And even then, like I picked up the Uchigatana and it didn't do that much damage to begin with. But the Claymore does do damage. So, good. Do you see the purple stuff coming from that guy? If I had just let him continue what he was doing, he probably would have ended up killing me. Considering he becomes like what Index Gundir does halfway through his Udex Gundir halfway through his fight. Hell, he gets the big black mask coming off of him. That happens to those enemies. The only reason I'm really saying this is because I'm not going to let that happen anytime through this playthrough. I'm not letting those guys, basically just letting them kill me, because that's pretty much what's going to happen if they do that. They get a lot of health and they do a lot of damage. So I like how these enemies like hitting you more with their shield than they do their actual weapon. They also have quite a bit of recovery from being staggered, but yeah. I had a decently easy time with that guy. I normally don't have that easy of a time with this Spear Knights. The reason I know where most of these enemies are is because I've played through this area before. I think I've already mentioned that though, so. There's one use for the, I'm just going to call it a Lloyd's Talisman because that's what they were referred to in the other game. There's one use for them, and people who've played Dark Souls before know. I might use the Lloyd Talisman for something, but I really don't see any usefulness for it, considering I'm not going to be farming too much in this game. I think I'm gonna, well, this game only, I'll only be farming for like one weapon. That'll be it. I'm not farming for soul because I don't feel like being over leveled, so I think it gives a, if you're just gonna over level yourself to where no enemies can really hurt you, what's the point in playing? But if you want to do that and it's fun to just curb stomp enemies left and right, go ahead, more power to you. I'm going to chuck a firebomb to see if I can lure this guy over here. I didn't hit him, but it had the same effect, so win-win maybe? This room is just full of big, dumb enemies that use slow attacks. I like it when Dark Souls does this. Just don't get all of them on you. Because usually if an enemy's big, slow, and dumb, it means it does a lot of damage. Like, what would be a good example of this? Oh yeah, the Turtle Bros from Dark Souls 1 Black Knights aren't technically slow. You can use the Estus Flask Shard to get extra Estus Flasks, just like you could in Dark Souls 2. The Cell Key, I like what it leads to, or what it leads to. I'm going to use that Cell Key to get a weapon, essentially. And that weapon will carry me a decent ways, and then I'll farm and get another one, and then that'll carry me for a long ways, and then I'll use the boss soul to get another weapon I like. I'm basically going to transition to 2-3 weapons this game, and maybe one set of armor, or 1 or 2 sets of armor when I get the vitality to wield them without fat rolling. And I go straight to the area which the cell key is used for. This guy can really hurt though. If you were to be walking around those barrels and did not know he was there, he would throw the firebomb at the barrels you were standing behind, and he would have hurt a lot, considering the firebomb would have caused those barrels to explode. This is Grey Rat, an NPC that I'm going to help out.
Laura, please. I'm not asking for charity. In fact, if you do this, I'll be sure to. I may be a good use. Very well.
Yeah, I'll help you find Loretta.
Place my faith in you.
And we will find her.
Give this ring to old Loretta
The old
at the base of the high wall.
undead settlement.
Do your part, and I'll do mine.
He becomes a merchant after you find Loretta for him. I think it's after you find her, or he might just become a merchant as soon as you go to Firelink again. The ring you got from him, the ring you got from him is the blue tearstone ring. When you are at 20% or below your maximum HP, you get extra defense. It also has a counterpart, which is the red tier stone ring, and that gives you more damage when you're at or below 20% max HP. And then I rested the bonfire to give me some extra Estus Flash shards. I think I mentioned this already, but we're not going to be fighting the boss in this episode. We'll do it next episode. I'll try to see if I can actually fit in 2 bosses next episode. I might be able to if I speed run. Speed run isn't a loose term here, but I'm trying to keep deaths to a minimal, so I'm taking it rather slow. You really do not want to let those guys finish their transformation, because they will take you to Pound Town. Actually contemplating throwing a firebomb at him, but I thought, yeah, it'll probably miss. No use in wasting firebombs. And I see these, notice that some of the enemies in this area learned the lessons from the hollows and the undead bird to hang off of the railing, so when you walk past them it's like, surprise, we were here all along. And I really hate winged knights. They have the spin to win, to end all spin to wins. And they have decent amount of HP, and they have range. But they don't do that much damage to a knight, so they're not as formidable, but still. They're painful. It is good to kill them though, because there's a lot of embers around and a rapier if you're interested in that. I liked rapiers in Dark Souls 2, but I don't really like them in 3, and I really didn't use them in 1, so. Something I did enjoy in Dark Souls 1 was the Black Knight weapons. Literally all of them. In my opinion, there wasn't a single Black Knight weapon that was bad in that game. But 2 had to go and ruin Black Knight weapons by making them have half fire damage. Half fire damage to even begin with, which is something they should have never done. Yeah, but in this game, the Black Knight weapons are back to their former glory. And I try to make this jump, and I miss. I'm not going to the left due to the fact that if I went there with no Estus Flask, I might die. Just maybe. And I'll go I'll pretty much start off the next episode going straight there. We're going up this elevator, which leads back to, you guessed it, the door that was locked from the other side at the beginning of the episode. It's not really that special. It is a good shortcut, though. Instead of having to go all the way through the area from the last bonfire that I rested at. Literally, the dogs in this game have the same AI as the dogs in Bloodborne, pretty much. And that actually terrifies me because I did not like the dogs in Bloodborne at all. I've stated this once before. But since we're back at the bonfire, I'm going to be ending this episode here, and I'm fixing my emotes, so yes. See you guys in